Hi, hello. It's PK, Pensy Pen, various nicknames I have accrued. Um, so this audio was supposed to come out probably 6 months ago, give or take a bit. Um, and as you can see, it didn't. So, there's a lot of personal life stuff I'm not gonna get into that was going on behind the scenes. That's why I continued to go on hiatus despite me really trying to come back. Um, with all of that in mind, there is a very good chance that some of the ideas and things I talk about in this audio are maybe tweaked a little, modified, pushed back, moved up. So just go in with a grain of salt. Well, maybe not a grain of salt. A lot of it is accurate because it's things that will be a part of canon regardless, but just keep an open mind. Um, and yeah, I think that's most of what I wanted to add to this little disclaimer of sorts. But I hope you enjoy, and I'll hopefully be seeing you guys soon again. So yeah, bye.
Hello, hello. Hi. It's been forever. I know. I'm incredibly sorry for that. Um, Needless to say, life and me have been going at it quite a bit. And so this video, surprisingly, unsurprisingly actually, let's be so honest, um, is long overdue. And I would really like to be able to post other videos. But again, I really wanted this to be the next one after Val's. So, because I am already recording for another reason, I figured let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Um, this is mostly unscripted. Well, kind of. I have the bullet points written out as well as the fun facts, so those parts aren't scripted, but everything in between and the transitions and such are unscripted. I'm also going to attempt to do this in, relatively speaking, one take, with maybe some parts like clipped out in case I'm rambling forever or I start choking on my spit. Very likely. I have a speech impediment. Anyways, um, yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So, first and foremost, this is a reminder to everyone listening and also for myself. May 19th, 2024, so this year, marked 1 decade since Val was first turned by Talia. Elodie is still currently locked up and is scheduled to be released in roughly 5 years when her sentence is complete, but I thought that was really interesting. In an ideal world, I would have made a whole video about that, but the more you know. I think it's a pretty big deal, given that Val is a crown and such now. So I hope you enjoy that little tidbit as much as I do. On to the next bullet point. Jesselyn was passed up for track representative for reasons that will be elaborated on in a future audio. Additionally, due to inadequate completion of coursework and failure to satisfy track progression requirements, all in air quotes, she was given an ultimatum. Either she stays for an additional year of required studies in order to graduate with the certification of derivative command she's seeking, or she can drop out. Jocelyn chose the former and is still in attendance at Hive. I feel like that might come to a shock to some of you, and for some others, you would have seen that coming, because, famously Hive isn't great for various reasons. Inversely to Jesselyn, Nova graduated with his certification of advanced healing studies and is now working full-time as a healer post-grad. Additionally, they are now working as a healer for the Coulson Pack off the record. There will be an entire audio dedicated to this in the future. Notably, this audio will also feature Carter, voiced by a guest voice actor, who I already have picked, has been picked for a while now, so I'm very excited for whenever that gets released. And it will briefly feature Salem, who was mentioned in Val's last video, if anyone is unaware. I've had that audio actually written out for a very long time now, and so I feel bad it's taking this long to make, but, all things considered, fingers crossed and such, that audio will drop before the end of the year, and so we will have the first NR video with someone who isn't me. Very exciting. On to the next point. Previously, it has been loosely implied that Dominique lives in an unspecified city outside of Notarum, due to a major plot development for their character that I will conceal for now, because spoilers, they have moved to Notarum. However, they are also now in an established long distance relationship with their listener, Sweetness. I know Dominique isn't as popular compared to some of my other speakers. They've been around the longest, only second to Cordelia. But I think once I reveal the reason why they are now in Notarum and such, that you will all enjoy them more. Not that you don't enjoy them now, that's not what I'm implying. Just that they have a lot more to them, and I don't want to spoil it yet because it should be elaborated upon in an audio. And so, yeah, they're now dating Sweetness, which, oh my god, who could have seen that coming? It's not like they've been flirting the entire time I've had them in audios together. Okay, on to the next bullet point. Throughout the summer, Emerson and Sunshine have been, or rather did, hang out regularly. Notably, these hangouts were one-on-one. So, yeah, do with that information what you will for now. Unsure if I've mentioned this nickname or not yet, but I've personally referred to the Hive Bunch, so that's Nova, Jesselyn, Emerson, and Sunshine, as the Swarm in my own personal notes. So, that distinction out of the way, the Swarm has met Doll, officially. I think this will be an audio in the future, but it will be framed as a flashback rather than a, taking place in current canon kind of way. That was kind of a long time coming also, because in case it wasn't super clear, even though I think that maybe people realized it, they just hadn't verbalized it. Nova hadn't told any of them that they were even in a relationship, which was a really big deal and heavily plays into the fact that they are a necromancer and all of the limitations they face as one, which I feel like has become abundantly clear ever since that audio with Joyce, which I'm still very proud of in a morbid way. So it was a really big deal that Nova finally introduced them to one another, respectively. So yeah. Next bullet point. Because it has been brought up in a handful of audios now and still hasn't taken place yet, Doll is going to ask Nova to be their mate still. Oh god, I wrote the script so long ago, so bear with me. Tentatively, that audio is hopefully going to be pushed closer to Halloween, which is their upcoming anniversary. That was supposed to give me time to work out the logistics of how I want to do that in an audio. I don't know if it will happen in time. And in the case that it doesn't, we're just going to have another flashback. But I think it's really important that there is an audio where Nova is officially asked, especially given Doll's hesitation. I mean, they've been wanting to do this for Nova for a while now. Serena has mentioned why they hesitate a little bit. And so I would rather do it right than try to rush myself and get something out for you. But know that it is happening. Doll is going to ask Nova to be their mate. That's very important to me. Next bullet point. Unsure if this will be an audio or not, but Val, Harley, and Fangs have met at least once at this point. The meeting was originally between Valora and Desiree, but Harley and Fangs meet her, Val, while she's waiting. And, seeing as Harley is Harley, he's been keeping his eye and ear out for her where he can. I don't have much elaboration on this bullet point, besides the fact that Harley and Val are going to have a very interesting relationship. Similar to how Val and Serena already have an interesting relationship, I think that there's a lot Val can learn from a much older vampire. I don't know if I've mentioned when Harley was turned. Maybe that's in my notes. Who knows? I don't remember. It's been a while since I wrote this. But, yeah, you will hopefully be seeing more interactions with at least the two of them, if not all three. Next up, ooh, okay. Major update for Cupid related stories and such. As part of his rehabilitation, and as a reward for the work he's done thus far, Romeo has been approved to practice solo desire work under Soul's coterie. Now, it's simply a matter of Romeo figuring out what he'd like said work to look like. Um, if you don't remember, because it's been a while in general, and also since Romeo was first introduced, um, that was kind of the whole point of him being assigned to Soul's coterie, to help him become righteous again, let's say. No longer wayward, no longer a lost soul. Um, that's a fucking pun. So, this is a really big deal for him, and there may be an audio for this, there may not be. Like I said, life continues to fight me, and so there's a lot of things I've had in mind, in my head. They're always brewing in my head, these characters. But regardless, I would like to make that an official plot update note, if you will. Next bullet point. I'm not entirely sure how to word this next update, but I'm going to lump them together since ideally, at least one of them would have taken place over the summer. So, let the record reflect. Hiatus and Serena are both due for a confession audio sooner rather than later. Separately. Listen, I love a good rare pair. I really do. And I have ideas with that and such. But I mean, they are both separately due for confession audios. I will decide at a later date whether those will be flashbacks or canon to the current timeline. But for those who may have been waiting with bated breath, yes, they are both going to get one. I feel like it's fairly obvious, at least for Serena. If you didn't see that coming with Serena, I don't know how to help you. With Aerie, there's a little bit more debate. And then of the last plot, catch up, housekeeping, if you will, bullet points, there isn't a set debut date for this speaker, mainly because I'm still getting accustomed to writing regularly, maintaining a semi-regular upload schedule, which is a funny joke now, as well as there are other speakers that may get introduced first, but all that said, there will be a face-connected speaker introduced down the line. The purpose of this character is mainly to provide additional world building and background in-world information in a new way. And their name, I know, crazy, I already have this decided. Their name will be Bray Decker. That's Brae space Dekker. Now, all of that out of the way, I promised you guys fun facts as per my little poll when I first originally brought up the fact that I wanted to even make this audio. So let's get into it, shall we? All of these fun facts are in order, more or less, with the order that the bullet points were in. So, like, the first one is about Val, the next one is about Jesselyn, and so on. You'll get the picture. So, first up, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how apparent it was in her most recent audio, but in case it wasn't, and because I love to bring it up when I'm rambling, Val has not fed on Beloved at all. Not once since they started dating, which is part of why the nightmare sequence plays out the way it does. There's a subconscious fear there because, I mean, why wouldn't your big vampiric girlfriend feed on you? Especially after you offered so many times. I do have something kind of fun / interesting planned with that as a concept, but for now, that's all I'll say. Next up, I think about this passively all the time, but Jesselyn is most definitely a dog person. I still toss up the idea of giving her a dog in canon, but if it would be between a dog or a cat, personally, this is my personal opinion, a headcanon, if you will, from the creator themselves. I know, crazy. I just think dogs would suit her way more. She just strikes me as a dog person more than anything. Next up, Nova gets incredibly cold when they sleep. It's a necromancer thing / detail. He's somewhat insecure about this, but Doll and others have reassured him that it's not a problem, provided they can still confirm that she's alive, okay, etc. Because I mean, like, if you're cold while you sleep, that's fine. Like, maybe you're shivering, but it's not like Nova himself is cold. It is like I touched you and I for a second thought there was a popsicle in our bed. Like that kind of energy. So yeah. Oh god. All right. I know they're going to get a big head about this, but credit where credit's due. So, Salem was originally created by Mr. Laveau and was intended to remain strictly an OC off screen, but they were such a compelling character that eventually I caved in and added them to canon. In addition to that lore, though, Salem is a sweet kind of person. They will carry candy around to give to the pack after particularly tough jobs or while they're getting treated by healers. On to the next fun fact. In their time apart, Dominique continued to go to speed dating events in their city in an attempt to strike up a connection with someone besides Sweetness. There were a few short-term flings here and there, but the majority of the time things would fizzle out and Dominique's mind would drift back to Sweetness and the summer they spent together. Them reaching out was inevitable, whether they like to admit it to themselves or not. I just love them so much. I think that Just a Few More Words as a very small series on the channel was a learning curve in a lot of ways, but also it's just such a moment in time for these two. And so I may end up referencing it a bit more in subsequent audios, but I just love thinking about that time so much. All right, next up. Emerson has 4 other siblings as well as 2 parents. One is a fire derivative, and Emerson calls them their Ren, R-E-N, since they're also non-binary, and Emerson's mom is the only other surveyor within their family. This is why they have a natural aptitude for that kind of magic, despite not being a derivative themselves. There's a lot more layers to that. I have an audio that I started writing out to sort of play into that as well. There's so much more to Emerson than you guys have seen. And so eventually you'll see that. And I hope you enjoy all the little bits and pieces as much as I do. All right, next up. This is a fun one. Though they haven't met formally yet, Doll knows of Peaches by virtue of Nova knowing about / talking about them. Due to their affiliation with Face, however, Doll is not thrilled at the thought of meeting them directly at some point. Inversely, Peaches isn't yet aware of their existence. God, I have a speech impediment. Do you guys know that? I have a lisp. It's painfully apparent when I'm recording. Anyways, inversely, Peaches isn't yet aware of their existence as it pertains to dating Nova, because Jessalyn respects her privacy. Her privacy being Nova's privacy. You got it. You can figure it out. All right, next up. Nova is famously very loud in the morning. Partially because he's always kind of noisy, but also because of how restless he tends to be. In the event that he is being particularly loud early in the day, and Doll is spending the night with him, or vice versa, Doll will simply come out to wherever Nova is, throw him over their shoulder, and drag him back to bed until Nova rests again. Nova doesn't tend to fight it, though, because he enjoys being tossed around. I mean, who wouldn't? Big ol' werewolf. That's neither here nor there, though. Alright, next up. On several occasions, Fangs has come over to Harley's place with food for Gorgeous and to gossip about him until he gets home. Harley doesn't mind in the slightest, especially if it means he'll get free food from one of his favorite vampires in the process. I like the idea that Gorgeous is very involved with vampiric knowledge, the community. Like, even though they have no magic, they're completely stagnant but unveiled. I just think that the type of person Gorgeous is lends itself well to knowing other members of the dynasty and having been seen with them and talking to them, I feel like that makes sense. I'm saying as if anyone can respond back to me. I'm recording alone in my closet. All right, next up. Romeo is one of the only speakers I ever started considering a design for after the transition to icons, so obviously excluding Cordelia and Dominique. I decided it would be easier on my end to stick to the icons for various reasons, but I do have a very specific mental image of what Romeo's scars on his face and hands look like. If I ever get fan art of him someday, I'm really curious as to what people imagine his scars look like versus how I've always pictured them. I think maybe two of my friends have ever gotten the very loose sketch of them over top like a picture of my hands. Um, so yeah, I'm very intrigued into what people imagine. Next up, Serena's mother is a member of the Coulson pack as well. Her name is Angela Walker, and she's been a member almost as long as the Coulson pack has been formed. And yes, for those who are wondering, Serena's full name is indeed Serena Walker. You're welcome. Little bit of lore. Um, Serena and Angela were never part of a pack while Serena was a child and such, which is why her mother was so surprised to hear that her daughter had decided to form one with the werewolf she had a sort of rivalry with. She's incredibly proud of both Serena and Carter and the community they forged in Notarum. She's also someone that Carter loves to antagonize Serena with lovingly. I have a very specific mental image of Serena calling Carter and being like, "Why are you out having breakfast with my mom? We're supposed to be having a meeting." And they're just like, "Well, the meeting can wait. I'm clearly having breakfast with an important member of our pack." Just silly bullshit like that. All right. Oh, and we have arrived at our last fun fact. So let's bring it all home because I've already been rambling for 20 or so minutes, apparently. The decision to make Bray, as well as the general inspiration for them as a character, is directly connected to drumroll noises, the Magnus Archives. Wow, big shock. It's not a big shock if you know me at all. um, I binged the Magnus Archives in its entirety last year, oddly enough. I want to say it took me maybe 3 months max to finish it. For those who are more familiar with the story, you will eventually see some similarities with Bray's backstory. I won't elaborate very much more on that because spoilers. Um, I also think the use of something akin to reading statements is a very funky way to deliver world building while playing into a piece of media I love. And I so love the Magnus Archives. Painfully obvious, again, if you know me. Okay, so that is the last of the fun facts, and thus wraps up this post hiatus, somewhat still in hiatus, video. I have no idea when I will get back to posting more regularly. Besides the fact that I am in school full time and working full time, and also my computer loves to fight me. It's kind of hard to get audios out as often as I would like, but just know I'm always thinking about these characters, and rest assured, I will be back eventually. Um, I'm sure you can hear the fucking AC that just turned on. So I'm sure that's my cue to stop rambling and let you all have a good time zone. Maybe it's daytime, maybe it's nighttime, maybe it's the afternoon. Who knows? Um, for anyone who has made it to the end of this audio, thank you for listening to the whole thing. Oh, we also hit 1K. I don't know if I've mentioned that in an audio yet. So, wow, that's crazy. I didn't think that's not true. I couldn't fully imagine actually reaching this milestone, but now that I have, I'm really proud of myself. And I'm really proud of the ways the channel continues to grow despite everything. So yeah, here's to many more milestones in the future. Thank you all so much for your support. And either the next audio will be Simone, which is the speaker I made for my Talktober prompt, which you can find on Cardolin's channel. If you haven't heard of him, you should. Go fix that. And if not, ideally it will be Jesselyn, but don't quote me on that. Maybe I'll have a wild hair and do something else entirely. Who knows? Anyways, thank you again for listening, and I will see you whenever I make another audio. Bye, guys.